to order. Time is 5:31. Let the record show that we are missing both councilwomen, Ms. Trujillo and Ms. Baca. And we'll have an invocation by where's my invocation? Mr. Saldana, Councilman Saldana, and benediction by Councilman Davis. If everybody please stand.
Heavenly Father, we thank you that as we come before you, we surrender ourselves to you, Lord Father God, to be led by you and by your Spirit, Lord. And Father God, we ask for the wisdom to take care of the business that is before us this evening. Father, that we will deal with it fairly, Heavenly Father, and as you direct. Father, we thank you for your hand upon the lives of the people of Pecos, Heavenly Father, that are going through this with this sickness, Lord Father God. Father, we thank you, Heavenly Father, that your healing hand is upon them, and that your spirit of healing is at the hospital and at the homes that have people that are under this pandemic. Lord, we thank you, Father, for blessing this town with some good people, Father, good leadership, Lord Father God. And thank you, Father, for being such a loving, wonderful God. And thank you for being so merciful to us, Lord. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everybody. Okay, we'll go ahead and go on to public comments. Is there anything to come before the council?
Mayor, you see people up and about not wearing a mask, and the reason I'm putting mine down so I can be heard, I guess, is I just got over the COVID. Thank God it wasn't severe for my wife and I, but I just want to encourage and ask and implore the people, please wear the mask when all possible. Even if you don't believe in it, please do so for everybody else. I don't want us to have to go down an avenue of mandating it or forcing it on people. So please, I implore you, wear your mask when in public and take care of each other. Wash your hands, and just be vigilant. And hopefully when the vaccine comes around, we can all have that opportunity to take it, and that it'll work. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Tyra?
Mayor, Council, Tyra Nichols, City Secretary. I did receive a public comment in the mail today, so I'm going to read it out loud. It's a bit lengthy. It says, "To whom it may concern, I feel along with others that in order to keep this virus from getting worse, some places need to be closed. I understand these places rely on being open, but life should be #1 priority. I praise Leo Hung on keeping the mask mandate, and I think it should continue well into next year due to the holidays. Many people are still ignoring the mask and social distancing mandates. I suggest closing the bars, gyms, and indoor dining at least until the early or middle of January. With Christmas and New Year's around the corner, we need to take drastic steps. We've had 17 deaths because of this. We get teachers out with COVID and students, why not close the schools as well until the end of January? Families will not get together and then send the kids to school. And the spread will continue. It's not like these places are being closed for good. It's just for 3 to 4 weeks for the lives of our community. I've lost close people due to this virus, and if it hasn't hit you or your home, it will be a matter of time if we do not act now. I speak not just for myself, but for others. Please take into consideration on closing the place mentioned such as bars, gyms, indoor dining, and schools, just for 3 to 4 weeks to see a difference. But most importantly, consider the lives of the community, our community. Thank you from a concerned tax-paying citizen.
Thank you, sir.
That's all I got.
Is there anything else to come before the council?
On that same note, my wife and I we spent Thanksgiving by ourselves for the reason that we didn't want anybody coming in or us going out. And for Christmas, it's going to be the same thing. She's had 2 first cousins that died of the COVID. And it kind of put a scare in her because they were all her age. So people, it's for real. Take care. Take the precautions. And God bless, we'll be over this maybe by April, May.
Thank you, Councilor. From my end, guys, I would like to thank Syra, Oscar, Heather, all the city employees that were here when we did the gifts for Miracle on 3rd Street last week. It went really well. We had probably over 800-900 gifts to give. We had maybe about 50-60 left. So that tells you how many kids we did have. These guys did a fantastic job. They stayed to help. I appreciate them because I know that they weren't getting paid to be here. We had a few other people come in to help. We had the Bikers Club come in to help. So I want to thank everybody that came together to do that. It went really well. I was very, very happy with it. I think that a lot of kids went home happy. You could see you could just sense their smiles through their mask because they were wearing masks, but you could just tell through their eyes how happy they were just to receive something. So I want to thank, on behalf of me and the council, for all those that stayed to help on their own, those that went out of their way, the people that helped us, the people that gave money, there were people that gave money, that gave gifts, and I really appreciate everybody for this community that did that. Because again, sometimes we don't have to do stuff, we don't have to give, but again, we follow our heart. We follow what really the big man upstairs would want us to do for each other. And that's what I expect. And I really appreciate it. I really felt really good about that day. I went home really feeling really fantastic. If I could buy the world a gift, I would, but you know. So thank you guys, you city guys. Thank you so much for that. Anything else?
Did you dress up for Santa Claus?
No, we actually had a Santa Claus.
I saw. Yeah.
He was here. We had a little reindeer running around. Elves. It was good. It was really good. I missed the hot chocolate and cookies, but that's okay. I don't need them. But it was really nice. We really enjoyed ourselves. The time went by really fast. It went really by really fast. And we kept thinking, oh, the line's coming down, and then it go all the way up around the corner again. But we were maintaining the distance the best we could outside with the kids, but we didn't want them, everybody had their mask on, we made sure of that. But we really appreciate it. I really appreciate you guys going out of your way to do this. And I know that it's going to be a tradition, and next year we're going to better and better. Every year from now on, we're going to maintain it, I hope. I really hope so. Yes, sir, Oscar.
Mayor, I just wanted to let them know that on our part, when we were doing the drive, we actually raised over $3,000 to go towards buying of the gifts. We were very excited to have a lot of people very interested. We had even one local company donate $1,000. We had another local company donate $750. So we were very happy with the amount of support that we had for that event. And like you said, Mayor, he helped out a lot of little kids. A lot of kids came in happy. A lot of parents were happy, and I'm just glad we were able to.
Like again, thank you all for going out of your
Can you
way.
name the businesses?
Sure, we had Tier 1. We had Ravi Mehta with Corporate Hospitality. We had Trans Pecos Electric. We had Miss Kristen Irie. We had Seth and his wife that donated. We had the Hampton Inn that donated. We had Holly and Harry Jaraki that donated. I'm trying to think who else.
CC.
Oh, CGG Trucking.
And then the Ornelas law firm.
Oh, and then Caesar's Law Firm, of course. And they themselves brought over 400 toys just with themselves. So they had a big old U-Haul they had to bring in.
I know, she was telling me she drove that U-Haul, the lady. She said, I was hauling down Interstate 20.
So we're ready for it again next year. I think it'll be
Thank
great
you, guys.
event.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much for that. Okay, we'll go ahead and go on to the consent agenda. E1, approve the minutes of the November 12, 2020 regular city council meeting. E2, approve the October 2020 PD call report. E3, approve the minutes of the November 16, 2020 Pecos 4D Economic Development Corporation Board. E4, the expenditure report is presented. E5, approve November 2020 PD call report. If y'all want to go ahead and review those. That's my chief. Is my chief in here? Chief, how's everything going over there? Our staff back to work?
Yes, sir.
I say ours because
Yes, sir. We did have some out with the virus, both police and the jail staff, but everybody is back to work fine.
and I hope everybody's aware that chief did get a check for our COVID stuff that she's been using. Right? That was what it was.
We did get the grant awarded to us. We're in the process of just getting the reimbursement done. The finance director, Mr. Lino, and I are working together on that. Plus trying to pursue other future grants for different avenues that we plan to pursue, different equipment, that type of stuff.
And I appreciate all you guys out there.
Yes,
I know
sir.
They're busy.
Chief,
Yes, sir.
I'm hearing that your staff has to buy their own coffee called Prisoners Get. The coffee paid by us.
The staff doesn't. I am the one who usually purchases the coffee, but yes, we do purchase our own coffee. And yes, the prisoners do get coffee provided by us. That's part of the marshal's contract. You know, coffee's kind of a deal breaker for inmates.
Yep.
And so.
But why are we buying for people that are incarcerated when the people that are taking care of those, I think they ought to be the other way around.
Did you not use their coffee to coffee up you guys?
Coffee up our guys. So, you know, when we were looking at places that we could cut costs, coffee was one of those places, or stuff in the break room. So at least twice a week I do fill up the refrigerator, and if it's not myself, it's one of the other captains or lieutenant that, you know, we purchase coffee for the department. It's just our contribution, and it's our way of cutting the costs that the city would incur for that. But yes, as far as, it does seem like almost it's not fair that we have to provide all this for people who are incarcerated. again, they are pre-sentenced. They haven't been found guilty, but they are being incarcerated.
Well, they're not there for no reason.
That's correct, sir.
And that's how I see it.
I understand.
You're
Yes,
there
sir.
for a reason.
Yes, sir.
So how are we doing it here at the city? For the coffee?
I believe it's on a voluntary basis. I don't imbibe, so I'll have to ask someone who does.
I can speak to coffee.
Okay, right?
Everybody upstairs, HR, finance, my department, we all purchase our own coffee. We have curd machines that we prefer.
Mm-hmm.
And we had probably 4 large canisters when we moved over here. We still have, I think, 1 left. Everybody prefers a different type of coffee and or tea, and they usually provide their own. And their own equipment to make.
So hopefully times will get better and we can provide that.
Yes,
I
sir.
don't see why we shouldn't provide that.
I just, to me, it's just a principle of the thing. I just don't, I don't, well, that's just not the way I think.
And I understand, and that's why I take it upon myself personally to take care of the entire department. Coffee, drinks, any type of food, I'm the one that'll purchase it, because I don't want the city to take on the burden either, because I know it's just, it's part of working a shift and having a job. But at the same time, I'm at a place personally where I can provide, several days a week. I fill up the entire refrigerator.
Well, our society is upside down.
It is, yes, sir.
You go to prison and you come out smarter than the people that are actually working, and that to me is wrong.
They get a free
We
education.
need to go back to the chain gang. You do something wrong, you pay.
Yes, sir.
That's how I see it.
I understand.
Because that's what kept me in line. I don't want to go to there.
You don't want to be a chain gang member,
Yeah,
right?
no,
Yes,
I
sir.
didn't. But they got it made. These people got it made. And they're habitual criminals.
They are.
And we got them.
Yes, sir.
Not only here, but throughout the world. And we need to cut that.
Sure.
And to me, that they wouldn't want me as president.
Yeah.
They would not like me as president.
And the nation as a whole, you're exactly right.
Yes, ma'am.
There's some issues there.
But I just, we got heard, I got heard the same thing, and I was just kind of curious why.
Yes, sir.
Why, if we're going to cut it out for our employees, we need to cut it out for all.
Yes, sir. And a deal breaker
There's
is
no
coffee
fringe benefit
in
being
a
in jail.
facility. It's kind of like menudo on the weekends, The folks that worked at the prison know what
We
happened.
don't give the coffee at the prison, but they buy a commissary. We provide the hot water. That's what we provide in the hot
Yes.
water. You want to buy coffee, you buy it off commissary.
Yes, sir. I understand.
And at that instance, the employees buy their own, so
Yes, sir.
I guess that's happening everywhere.
Well, hopefully, like I said, once times get better for us all.
Yes,
And
sir.
I did get a chance to talk to a couple of people the other day that we were I was kind of parked somewhere, they came by and saw me up there. They're really happy. And
They seem
to
to
talk to them, they're happy. They're happy that they've got good people working with them. They're happy that they're really happy with you
Thank you.
for some reason.
For some reason. Lord knows why, right?
They were very happy. They love the way you work. They love the way you intervene with them. I don't know. They couldn't say much about what they were doing. That they're comfortable doing their job. That it's good to hear when somebody says, "I get up because I want to go work." And sometimes people say, "I don't like my job and I don't want to go to work." But
You're right. We do try to provide an environment where they do want to be there. And, I credit the council for seeing that when I first came on, the need for, whether it's the vehicles or the equipment or the pay increase, that's been a huge morale boost for patrol and for CJC.
would you thank them and thank
Yes,
you
sir.
for everything that you do?
Thank you.
And thank you for helping your department help solve that problem that case at the man count.
Yes, sir. That was quite the case as well.
We appreciate you, Chief.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, do you have a motion to approve?
Then I make a motion that we approve the consent agenda as presented.
I'll second that.
Okay, I have a motion by Councilman Orona, second by Councilman Tez, to approve E1, E2, E3, E4, E5. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, let's go on to F, non-consent. Presentation of Youth Advisory Commission by Mr. Oscar Ornelas. Oscar?
introduce our future council members?
Yes.
I'd like to see that.
Mayor and Council, Oscar Nellis, Community Engagement Specialist. I want to, first of all, say thank you guys for allowing us to bring back Pecos Youth Advisory Commission. It was probably over 10 years, maybe 15 years that we've had a Youth Advisory Commission. Mr. Diaz probably remembers interviewing me to be on
Mr. Menace,
on
one
the
of our
commission.
participants. What year was that?
The first year was 1996.
Wow.
That's a long, I can't remember that.
1996, I was in 6th grade when that, and went all through my senior year. So.
Fantastic.
But these kids have hit the ground running. They've been amazing. They've already have done a couple of projects already and putting their hands out there in the community. I'm very proud of these kids, and we should be very proud of them also and what they're doing and what they plan to do this year. I will let them go ahead and go down the line, introduce themselves, and what role they play in our Youth Advisory Commission.
I'm Adriel Carrasco and I'm the secretary of the commission.
I'm Kenzie Valenzuela and I'm the treasurer.
I'm Harley Machuca and I'm the chairperson.
I'm Jonathan De La Rosa and I'm president. I'm TJ Garcia and I'm vice chair.
And we have one more, Mr. Dominic Almendares. He is unfortunately having to be quarantined at the moment, so he's having to stay home and stay safe. We have 6 members so far. Like I said, we're very proud. I'm very excited on the direction that they're going. They've had several meetings already. They have great ideas. They have probably lined up their whole year already on what they want to do. They have already taken up a yearly project to help us with our library and our pantry, so they'll be having drives to help collect food and books to put in the pantries as their yearly project for this year. But we're very excited, very happy that they're with us, and they probably are, if not our future councilmen here, councilwomen and women too, but we're probably, wherever they end up.
You may think it not a very attainable goal, but think of congressmen and senators. It's not a racist issue that I want to make. It's just you all are Hispanics, predominantly Hispanic country pretty soon, a state that's predominantly Hispanic. But you need to represent everybody, and you have a unique position ahead of you. If this is the goal or something that you see yourself doing, please drive forward and aspire for it. It's a well-worth cause, but it starts here, getting involved at this age, and having concern for the city of Pecos and your citizens, counterparts here in this town. I see you guys as leaders, and soon everybody will see this. If not now, they will. Thank you.
The one thing I like to say is, with like what Councilman Arona just said, and in whatever endeavor that God has you in the near future and the future as it goes by, hopefully the talents, the knowledge that you gain, and the wisdom, that it will come back to the beginning, to the town that you were born and raised and graduated from, where the family is, your friends, because that's an important thing. It's family, and our town is family. I mean, we may be 30, 40, 50 years apart, but we're still all from Pecos. So stay strong, stay decisive in what you're going to do.
One more thing, can I ask who your parents are? Because they had a major part in raising you guys where you're at right now.
My parents are Heraclio and Petra.
My parents are Stephen and Felipe Valenzuela.
My parents are Ana and Genaro Machuca.
Mine are Michael and Kimberly Rice. Mine are Timothy Garcia and Michael Mendoza.
They should be congratulated for having such good kids.
And I was here the first meeting, and it was wow. It was good. I wanted my chair, but they didn't want to give it to me.
There's a replacement.
There's my replacement. And they did such a good job. I mean, they're one thing, guys, that I love, that you all say what you feel, and that's what's part of everything that you're going to be doing. Is say what you feel, say what what you wanna do, say what you think you need to do, and set a goal, and if you don't reach that goal, you did your best to get to that goal. Sometimes we don't get to where we wanna be, but at least we tried to get there. And when I saw you all, and it was like, cause I came in, I saw, oh man, a bunch of kids, and you all proved me that y'all were taking this, you were grabbing this with both hands, and y'all said, do we have a motion, do we have a second, and it was like, wow, I saw all these guys young.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, and hair, with hair. But y'all did a fantastic job. I was proud to see you guys, and your parents, like Councilman Tez said, your parents should be proud too, because you know, not everybody wants to get up there. Not everybody wants to be in front of others or make decisions, but somebody's got to do it, and I appreciate that you all really want to do that. I was really happy to see y'all in that first meeting. I said, from now on, I'm going to go to their meetings as much as I can. Maybe I will learn from them. But we thank you. We appreciate what you're doing.
Very much.
Don't give up on that.
And it's the energy. It's the
Oh,
energy
yeah.
that they carry. That's man, that moves mountains, man.
Just don't give up on that. We congratulate you.
Mayor and council, and just remember, they are directly under your jurisdiction. So there's something that you feel like the youth needs to do, there's issues and whatever, these are your guys to bring it to see what solutions they can come up with, and vice versa. They're going to see things, and part of their other meetings is figuring out where are we lacking, or we need to help our youth either within each other, within the city, you know. So when one of the meetings, we have to figure out the things that we can help with, and they're the link between the youth and the city to be able to get that done. So we just I just hope that it will be a good partnership
Definitely.
between council and youth.
I would actually ask Oscar that you present them to the commissioners court. When you have a chance, let the commissioners court know this is something that we started. We want to encourage them. We got a recreation center coming up. It's going to need different ideas for what do we bring the youth in, how do we get them off the street, and you know, so I recommend that you take them to get with a judge and find out when I can represent my children, when can I bring them in. Let them know.
Even the school board.
Yeah, in the school board.
Yeah.
You know,
And that-
we need to advertise you. We're gonna advertise you because again, there will be followers. You will be the leaders, and there will be followers.
And there will be open opportunities for other kids to come in because of what they showed.
Yeah.
And as long as we help them, promote them, and because there's other kids out there with the same thoughts.
I don't know where, I think it's up north, somewhere in the middle state, it's up north. 18-year-old mayor last year. So,
Yeah.
y'all aren't that far away. I'm very far away from 18. But everything's attainable. Everything's attainable. So
So we
don't sell your
congratulate
short. Try.
And you know, Mayor and council, as soon as it was found out by all the staff that we were having our youth advisory group, we had tons of staff jump in and say, how can we help to be a part of this group to help them out? And it's like I was telling some of the people that stepped up to help us be sponsors for them, is like, I want more of us than what there is of them, so they know that they have the support, so we can help them do what they need
We
to
need to
do.
give you all our numbers, so you can, in case y'all ever have questions, you can call us direct.
We're gonna give them
Councilman
our
Tez
numbers.
has been here over 20+ years, got a wealth of knowledge that he can share with you guys. You know, we're all available. So, yeah. Thank you.
You sure we take it to the county or elsewhere? Say, hey, we're open for donations. Doesn't hurt to ask.
No,
Actually,
no.
city council is going to be my first stop, so y'all be ready.
Exactly.
That's absolutely right.
Because right now they are going to have to be self-sufficient, so we are figuring out fundraising ideas that we can do to do our projects. They had one project that everybody pitched in to help them put their projects their project together. We actually gave away care baskets to the Pecos Police Department and the PBTISD Police Department, and they also included their canines in there and what they gave to them.
Y'all
So
already did that. I know you all talked about it the first meeting.
yep, those were already
Congratulations
delivered.
for that, thank you. I mean, I just remember that day, ideas were flying like bats, back and forth, and we need to do this, we need to do that, and you know what, y'all got it done. I kept thinking, are they gonna get it done? And y'all got it done already, wow, congratulations for that.
Yeah. Our next meeting is this coming Wednesday at 6:30 here in the lobby, so if anybody can come. We're meeting at 6:30. Right, Mr. Chairperson? 6:30 this week? Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Oscar.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Again, congratulations.
Okay, we'll go ahead and go F2. Discuss, consider resolution 2012-01R, adoption of the town of Pecos City Youth Advisory Commission bylaws. Mr. Ornelas.
Mayor and Council, now that you've met our Youth Advisory Commission on their first official meeting, they went through the bylaws that were drawn up that you guys had adopted back in January. They actually did have some changes they wanted to make on them. So since they are directly under the city council, those changes have to be approved by you guys on the bylaws. Some of the major changes that they brought about was that they wanted to, in the previous bylaws, it only called for freshmen through seniors in high school. They actually wanted to include 7th and 8th graders, actually bring them in to actually give them a little bit of time to get used to being in the commission, what it is to serve, so they have some time, so that way they can become candidates for officers later in their career in youth advisory. Another thing is becoming an officer. They wanted to make sure that having at least 2 years being in the commission before you could become at least a lower entry officer. So that puts you down as being a sophomore. So that's why they thought about bringing in 7th and 8th graders. That way they have that time to grow in order by the time they've created that commitment by then to the group, and becoming an officer just furthers that commitment in the group. Another change is that absences is one of the things that they wanted to add on there was if it was a school-related absence, because the kids that we do have part of our group, they are very active. I will tell you they are very active in our school system and other entities around town. So there's gonna things that, especially with the school, that's gonna come up that they won't be able to come to a meeting, and meetings is part of their attendance. So they felt that if we could add, if it was a school-related absence, that the board would have within themselves have the authority to go ahead and overrule that absence as long as it was a school absence. We did mention about bringing in 7th and 8th graders.
Now, can I notice that it says the person, vice chair, secretary, treasurer, and assistant is just a 1-year term?
They're 1-year terms, yes, sir.
Because they'll probably graduate by the end of that year.
Yes, sir. And then what we'll do, we'll start the process in the spring. So that way we can go ahead and start putting out the application, give kids time to go ahead and think about doing it. So that would, because their term will actually end at the end on July 31st. So they'll actually serve through the summer. So that way, if in the springtime we can go ahead and get their applications, get approved who we can get on there. That way when the next term starts, we're ready to go. As soon as that term ends, there's a new group coming in that's ready to go in. Mr. Chairperson, did I miss anything that you can think of?
So we didn't budget any funds for y'all this year?
Not that I can remember.
Mayor and Council, we do have some funds set aside, but it's not what we had previously.
So we could actually set some aside for them.
Yeah, I believe the amount this year is 5,000 total, all in. I believe last year we had set aside 10,000.
So we could, 5,000 total to do it.
Probably closer to what it should be.
And that's something we can discuss after going. I'll let y'all review their projects and what they're thinking about, and maybe see and go from there.
You know, when I was here, y'all were discussing having a sergeant of arms.
Yeah, we have our sergeant at arms. Mr. Jonathan De La Rosa is actually our sergeant at arms.
I was thinking of putting one of those on the council.
You can borrow Jonathan. If you like.
You
I'm pretty
borrow
sure.
Jonathan, start charging these guys.
So sir, for the money, we don't have to make it.
It's already been.
It's already there, we just got to pull.
Okay, need a motion to approve the bylaws as presented.
I'll make the motion that we approve the Pecos Youth Advisory Commission bylaws as presented by Mr. Oscar Hernandez.
Need a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, have a motion by Councilman Saldana, second by Councilman Diaz to approve bylaws as presented by Mr. Ornelas. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay, we're going to F3, discuss closing Willow Street between 10th and 11th Street from 8 to 3 p.m. to protect the students from crossing between area schools. I know Councilman Orana, you were interested.
Yes, sir. I was approached by Officer Keeley to having some issues along that street during school hours, and she brought up some real strong valid points. And I think earlier this year we had discussed that, but it kind of fell away. So I'll turn the floor over to Ms. Kesey, Officer Kesey, to give us your thoughts, or go ahead, sir.
Thank you, City Council. Brent Jacob, Superintendent for Schools, or PBT.
Welcome, Mr. Jacob.
Thank you. The area between between 10th and 11th on Willow Street is a section of street that goes, kids cross back and forth throughout the school day to get from the main building over to our temporary portable buildings. And we have pre-K 4-year-old students and our 5th grade or 5-year-old kindergarten students that are crossing back and forth throughout the day. There's been a couple incidences that Officer Keys has had with drivers of personal vehicles that have wanted to go through that section of street while students are crossing. And we just would like to ask the City Council if we could close that street during the school day, for school days during the school hours, to help increase the safety for our students that are going to be going back and forth across the street.
And 8 to 3 would be good enough for you, not 8 to 4 or anything, 8 to 5.
Yeah, I think, well, our school goes until 3:30, so 8 to 3:30 would be good. The school day is 8 to 3:30. Students are buses dropped off right there against the street. All the pre-K students start in the main building and then cross the street. So 8 to 3:30 would be the ideal time.
I would think, personally, we just move it to 4, that way we're pretty clear.
Gentlemen, that's y'all's decision, but I mean, we'll definitely take 4.
Yes, because that way it'll give us enough.
8 to 3:30 is the school hours.
Yeah, but you still have some lingering.
Absolutely, yes, sir. Always that potential there.
Yes, sir. So I would think extending it to 8. I even suggested to Officer Key 8 to 5, that way, for sure, it's dead. You know, hopefully by then there's no kids raising.
Hopefully we're out of the portable suit.
Now, Mr. Thompson, what is in detail to be able to do that?
So depending on the level of closure that's sought, where it's only during certain hours, we don't have to worry about abandoning the right of way because it will still be public use. I would suggest that it be more than just a bare minimum of traffic control. Anyone who's ever been out knows that cones get hit, people aim for them. And so I would suggest a higher level of traffic control, either barricades, bollards. I know that there's retractable bollards, but they're not cheap. They run about $4,000 a piece, and we would probably need 10 of those.
Do we have enough of those barricades, the wooden barricades?
our traffic control is a little slim. And then there's also the issue of who's moving it out, who's responsible for moving it back and forth. The cleanest step is probably to put out some sort of permanent structure with keys that the school district and the city have, because then it's just in place, you drop it, but it's also not the cheapest option out there.
May I suggest that Mr. Sorensen and I, try to work together to come up with a plan on an appropriate closure that is economical, but also, good. Given this situation, we hopefully will have a building that is all on one property in the near future. So that would be ideal. I don't want to. Why I want to have safety, make something too permanent that's a waste of money in for long term time.
Okay.
That's agreeable, isn't it?
Yeah, so
And that would be something that needs to be done pretty quickly.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
So for the time being, while you all discuss what's going to be the best solution, I guess we can go with cones or those crossing. I can't remember how they call them. They look like saw horses, but long.
Yeah, that's
the
the barricades, but
Yeah,
we don't have enough of those.
for any extended amount of time, we need a type 3 barricade, which is actually the one that has the 4
Okay.
things on it. It'll have that signage on it.
maybe we could even hit the text doc or something for a little while we you all figure out what the best way to do it, because I'm sure they have stuff that we can borrow.
We can always ask.
Yeah, we know the answer, but, I guess the selling point is the safety of our kids.
Right. Absolutely.
That's vitally important. They should be able
That's
to
true.
at least help us in the meantime, until we get what we need ourselves.
Well, like I said, we'll ask, and then if y'all could get together and see if there's anything we can do.
We can.
What's the best route?
I can get my company to lay 2 poles on each end.
You got any teachers that are good at the cable top?
I'm just kidding, but.
Gentlemen, thank y'all. Do you have any more questions or concerns?
Get it done as quick as we can.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Keeley.
Thank you.
We'll go ahead and go to F4, discuss, consider a zone change request submitted by the town of Pecos City for C1 local retail commercial district to R2 medium density farm residence district on property currently utilized residential uses and property legal described as 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Mr. Donnie.
Mayor, Council, thank you for this opportunity to present to you this evening. I've had several people come in these blocks on Ash Street from the 500 up to 11th Street, so from 5th to 11th, that have some empty lots that want to build houses there. They were zoned as commercial because it's the back side of Cedar Street, but everything along there is residential right now. So instead of having each individual come in and ask for a zone change, we as a city decided to ask the board for a zone change, and now we're bringing it to the council so that they approved it, so we're asking that the council approve changing it back to residential so that they can build houses on those lots they have over there.
She went out more houses.
Now there's a couple that want to build trailer houses, but it's still homes that people can live in.
And
So
there's trailer houses up and down there.
yes, sir.
Yeah, one of the things that I've seen, I've been driving around in the east side of town. Those trailers that are coming in, God, those are nice.
They're
And then the way they're setting them up, fencing and all that stuff, they look nice.
The one objection on my code, no roofs like the one over there on 12. Please.
yeah, we
No
definitely
roofs.
Oh,
Like
We
the
definitely
one-
need to-
The cathedral.
we need to keep the cathedrals out of town. I agree.
I gotta approach the engineers from my company, because they built an add-on in the back, and they're straight in line with our power line. So they're encroaching on our 10-foot.
Okay, well,
I don't know if you know.
last time I was over there, he hadn't went that far out, so he's probably moved it further. So I will.
He's right directly.
I will investigate that. I had to make him move it back in the front.
Yeah.
I didn't realize he had extended it out in the back.
just put the whole thing.
Yes.
I guess so.
Whatever was in the front, you put it in the back, so.
One other thing on this item here is not only was the planning and zoning board good with doing this, they want to revisit some other places like Eddy Street because right now if a house burns down on Eddy Street, they can't rebuild it because it's a commercial zone.
Which section?
All of
All
Eddy
of it?
Street.
Wow. No
So,
wonder there's an empty lot by Lakewood that nobody's ever built. There was like, oh.
so we're gonna revisit that with the planning board. So you'll probably see more of this kind of stuff coming before you. But right now, this is what we brought, and they were more than willing to approve that. So
When, I want to ask, when somebody adds to a house without asking for permission, without getting the right permits, what's the recourse on that?
I double fee them, whatever it would have cost them for their permit to build it. If they came and got it before they started, I double that.
There's also the potential that they have to remove.
Right, if it doesn't fit with our ordinances, then they may, like if they build too close to the property lines, I have to make them take it
How
down.
about close to the streets,
And close to the streets.
right on the curb?
Okay, if you have a specific example, I'll be more than willing to go look at
I'll
it.
give it.
Okay,
I can tell you that.
okay,
You've already gone by.
yeah, okay.
Yeah, there's a couple more that I've seen around that, you know, it's time for us to get consistent.
Absolutely, I agree.
I mean, we're gonna make enemies, but it is what it is, unless people want us to change our permit fee structure, then they can come and voice your opinion.
Absolutely, I agree, yes, sir.
Yeah, and with all these new houses being built, they're being built according to the zoning, the laws and all that, so everything has to match.
Absolutely.
Because doesn't matter who you are and all that, gotta follow the rules of the.
Yes, sir, I wholeheartedly agree. So,
Consistency, that's what you said, yeah, we need to be consistent with it.
I agree, yes, sir. So, but basically, that's what we're doing is changing this zone to R1 on this one, so.
Motion to approve.
R1 or R2?
Mayor, I make a
R2,
motion-
I'm sorry, it's R2.
Mayor, I make a motion, we approve a zone change request submitted by the town of Pecos City from C1 local retail commercial district to R2 medium density family resident district on property currently utilized in residential usage on property legally described as below, from the 500 block of Ash to the 1,000 block of Ash.
In a second.
I'll second.
Okay, I have a motion by Councilman Orona, second by Councilman Saldana, to submit question of changes as presented by Mr. Donnie. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
You have a lot of people requesting to build?
I've had 4 people in that area want to rebuild in those lots.
Thank you, Donnie.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll go to F5, discuss, consider resolution 2012-02R, a resolution to add additional signatures to the CJC inmate account at West Texas National Bank. Mr. Lino?
Charles Lino, Finance Director. Thank you, Council. This is the inmate account where they make deposits for commissary. And I would like to add Chief Lisa Tarango, who should have been on there and always been on there, but she hasn't been. I want to add her. And Veronica Castro, PD's Administrative Assistant. This will allow them to provide the coverage that they need in order to take care of transactions with the bank. When we added myself and Kristen Irie at our last meeting, that has already been done. But now we need to make sure that we have the coverage to accommodate transactions on that account. So I've talked to the chief and reviewed. I've taken all of the people off that we talked about last time that didn't need to be on there. But I'm requesting this time that we add those 2 staff to this account in order to accommodate the CJC inmate commissary account.
So how many will that make signatures?
There'll be 6 signatures on there. Yes, sir. It'll be myself, Kristen Irie, Seth, Heather Ramirez, and then now on this account it'll be Chief Tarango and Veronica.
Do you have primaries or anybody can?
No, sir. It'll be open that way. There's not a lot of balance in there, so it's something that, and I'm improving the reconciliation process. So I don't anticipate a whole lot of change. It is monitored, and they are doing some internal controls to check that. So I don't see there being much, if any, chance of fraud on those accounts. Do you have any questions for me?
Thank you.
Thank you. Get a motion?
I make the motion that we approve, resolution 20-112-02R, a resolution to add additional signatures to the CJC inmate account at West Texas National Bank, as presented by Mr. Charles Lino, Finance Director.
I'll second it.
Have a motion by Councilman Saldana, second by Councilman Perez, to approve resolution 20-12-02R. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
I appreciate that.
Thank you. Don't go nowhere.
No, I'm stuck here.
All right.
I've got a couple now.
Discuss and consider resolution 20-12-03R, accepting fiscal year 2019 audit. Charles, Mr. Lino, sorry.
Again, Charles Lino, Finance Director. I tried to get this to you earlier, but this has been something that has been a priority for me since I got here a month ago. This audit has been dragging on with our current auditor. I've lit in the fire. We now have our completed audit for FY19. I wasn't able to get it to you all in enough time. I will provide it. I do have the audit up here on the screen. We did get an unqualified opinion, which means there's no issues with the audit. There were 2 internal control deficiencies that were in there that I'm gonna explain to you all real quick and tell you how they've been addressed, just to make you all aware. There's no sense in you all not getting a copy. If anyone wants a hard copy, we'll get it for you. If not, you will definitely get an electronic copy. It's going to be up to the individual councilman, but we'll take care of that. One of the findings that they labeled as 2019-01 is their criteria for determining this to be a control weakness is we have sequential and controlled check numbers, and that's a necessary thing that you do to make sure that all of your checks are accounted for throughout the year. For about half the year, fiscal year 2019, we're talking about here, there were check numbers that were generated through the system that weren't the same as what was on the check. So it caused issues with there. And it was probably just oversight. They hadn't corrected an issue. And it was due to whenever they had initially done some conversion software for the software implementation. This caused a potential ability to have misappropriations or incorrect items on the check, and the reconciliation process got delayed. They recommended that management should ensure the bank reconciliation process is performed timely, and any discrepancies between the general ledger and the bank checks, or the books and the checks, are identified. Management should develop a review process to identify discrepancies between accounting system entries and bank entries in a timely manner. Their corrective action, or that we put in there, it's actually our corrective action, is the city has corrected that within the general ledger system. It's corrected within the same year. And he put in here and recently hired myself to oversee the finance and accounting function. I can tell you that I am a stickler. I want things to be right. I want my controls to be rigid and firm, and they are right now. So I can say that this issue will not be an issue for our 2020 audit. The second criteria that they had was capital assets and the listing that were on the depreciation schedules. It said that they should be updated, maintained, and agreed to the general ledger on a regular basis. Common sense to most people. We had some weaknesses just because people didn't understand exactly how to account for that and how to consider that.
What is the time, what do they refer to with time? Quarterly, yearly, half a year, what is there?
It actually depends. I mean, with fixed assets, in my opinion, we will be reviewing it internally. I mean, our executive leadership team will be looking at financial statements on a monthly basis. And I'm gonna get staff to where they're routinely taking care of it. So we're not gonna get, quarterly is too long, or may be too long for me. It will never be more than that. My goal is to do it monthly, and to get those updated. I can address that in that in Code 10, the current conversion that we're working on right now does have a module in there, and we have uploaded everything in there, so we will be able to track it that way. The other area that we are in the process of implementing is we're going to issue new forms that are going to have to be completed for the acquisition of new vehicles or new equipment by the department that's acquiring that will flow through to finance. And then finance will take care of it, recording it in the system and making sure that everything's done. So I anticipate that over the next 60 to 90 days, that process will be fully implemented, and there's not going to be any of these issues going forward. That's actually the corrective action. So I mean, that's what we have done. They recommended that we take a look at this. Well, it's already been, it is being addressed. I don't like to have any findings, okay, just to give you my perspective. So my goal for this 2020 audit is we may have some audit adjustments, just to reclassification entries, but I don't want to have any findings. And so my goal all the time is to be better than everybody else. And what this will allow us to do, not now, but moving forward, it will allow us to start submitting our financial statements, or CAFR, or Comprehensive Annual Financial Statement, to the Government Finance Officers Association and start acquiring awards that say that we are reporting not only from a budget standpoint, but from a financial reporting standpoint, to where we measure up to the standards of what fiscal excellence is from their standpoint. So that's my objective. So we will get better, I can promise you that. Our audit is not going to be way behind because I don't put up with that. They're working for us. We engage them. They're not going to run us, we're going to run them. And so I'm very rigid that way, and I can tell you that things are going to change. The city's doing well in all of these aspects. I can tell you that the initial report that was submitted to me had no less than 40 issues that I have. And I worked over the last week with that auditor, including the weekend, because he's working on the weekend. I said, that's great, I got a phone, let's do it. But he got everything that I needed fixed and reconciled so that everything flows the way that it should. There's not rounding issues anymore. He had rounding issues, and I don't like rounding issues. If it says a zero on here, I want to see a zero back here. The notes to the financial statement, which are included with this, should tie back to the financial statements. And there were some issues that have been remedied and rectified with this audit. If you looked at it before, I don't let typos get through. I don't do any of that because I want it as perfect as it can be. And with that, I can provide this electronically. It's about 60-something pages long, 55 pages long. I could go through each page if you want to. I don't know that it's going to be time conscious tonight, but I also don't have a problem once you get the electronic copy, either presenting again here at the council meeting or individually sitting down with you all just to answer any questions that may come up.
We do need to approve it.
Yes, sir. We just have to receive the FY19 financial audit.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 20-12-03R, accepting the fiscal year 2019 audit as presented by Charles Lino, Finance Director.
Second?
Second, Mayor.
Okay, and a motion by Councilman Aurora, second by Councilman Tez, to approve resolution 20-12-03R, accepting the fiscal year 2019 audit as presented. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Hill. We'll go to F7, discuss, consider, excuse me, resolution 20-12-04R, awarding the 3-year contract to Clifton, Larson, Allen, LLP for auditing services for fiscal year 2020, 2021, and 22-22.
Yep.
22-22.
No, 2022.
Okay.
That's an oops.
We're really finding into the future.
Really?
Go ahead. You know.
I'm bringing, I can tell you that in discussions with Seth and Kristen Irie and in my dealings with our current audit firm, there's been a couple of items that I was not thrilled about. I like responsive auditors. I like them to be properly staffed. We did get, on the RFP that we did or RFQ for this issue, we had 6 qualifying bids that came in. They ranged anywhere between $60,000 a year down to like $38,000, almost $40,000 a year. I can tell you that I reviewed each and every one of the proposals myself. We had Gray CPA is doing some consulting on the interim before I came on board, and Gail Gray and I both discussed, and we were, without having any conversation, we came up with the top 2 candidates in the group that was remitted. They were neither the highest nor the lowest. And when I reviewed the qualifications of the 2 that we had on the table, the difference in price was approximately $4,000 a year. My issue is the staff that were going to be on site from the lower one were senior accounting level. The staff that are on the site for the $4,000 a year company, more a year, are going to be CPAs. With me being a CPA, I want professional staff coming into my office. I don't want their secondhand people. So I chose Clifton, Larson, Allen, and Clifton, Larson, Allen is a national firm. They're not one of the biggest, but they do have offices all across the United States. And the level of service that I anticipate we will get with them is going to be immaculate. They also have some e-platforms that we will have access to that we can use some of their data mining and analytics that I plan to fully utilize each and every one of those items and train my staff how to use them so that we're getting the most bang for our buck. I can tell you that the 3 years for the audit with this firm will be $136,960. There are also 2 option years on there, which we're not taking into consideration. That's going to be an option 3 years down the road. With that being said, this price is approximately anywhere between $15,000 a year, so $45,000 to $80,000 cheaper than it has been. So we're getting a lot better quality audit firm at a much better price. So the RFP came out in our favor. So I'm looking forward to working with them. I've been in contact with the partner that's going to be on the case or on our engagement, if you all bless this engagement. I don't know if you all have any other questions concerning audit firms or how I evaluate it or anything else.
Where are they officed from? Where centralized?
Well, they're going to supply us with auditors, the auditors that are going to be used on our field audit. The partners will come in, and she's located in San Antonio, and they're sending us auditors that will be coming from not only Dallas, Fort Worth, and San Antonio. That's where the audits, the CPAs that will be on our firm or on our engagement will be coming from. And all of this fee is comprehensive. It includes any travel or any of that will come into play. There's not going to be add-on fees. The only add-on fee is right now we're not going to qualify for it, but if we have to get a single audit done because we start getting a lot of grants, which Chief and I may start working that way, we may have to engage them for single audit, and that will be approximately $8,000 more a year. But that's going to be, if we're getting in enough grant money, we'll let that take care of it that way.
Questions?
Excellent.
Motion.
Then I motion we approve resolution 20-12-04 awarding a 3-year contract to Clifton, Larson, Allen LLP for audits and services for fiscal year 2020, 21, 2022, presented by Charles Lino, Finance Director.
Second.
I'll second.
Motion by Councilman Owens, second by Councilman Saldana, to approve resolution 20-12-04R, awarding 3-year contract to Clifton Larson. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Very good, thank you all.
Thank
I
you.
anticipate we'll engage them and get started on our pre-planning sometime right after the first of the year.
One more question.
Yes, sir.
How has your stay been here in Pecos?
So far it's been great. I'm having a blast. That's what I'm telling Seth. I mean, he's letting me do my stuff, and I'm very progressive, and I want things to happen. If I commit to something, it's going to get done. It's not going to be tomorrow. I'm not going to operate that way, and I'm working with my staff to where we're going to be very aggressive. If we are working with a consultant, they don't call back, I call them, and I make them stay on task because I'm not very patient with other people that way. I want to get things done.
That's
So,
good.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, we move on to F8, discuss consider resolution 20-12-05R, a resolution to accept and approve airport bid. Mr. Rocky.
Mayor, Council, Holly Jiraki, Community Services Director. It's my pleasure to be here and to present this resolution. This was put together, it's actually part of a two-part package that's already been processed through our council. This is the second half of this project. It is the council accepting the bid for $3,990,950. The purpose of this bid, the winner of this bid is actually Dan Williams Company, and is for the purpose of our taxiway ACENP and our apron reconstruction. Our municipal airport is a vital part of our city, and we continue to grow, and obviously we want our municipal airport to grow with us. We created a municipal airport master plan back in 2018. And the purpose of that obviously is to highlight a 20-year plan to show how we want our airport to grow. But what's most important is, in order to get these types of funding, we need to already have this plan in place, which we do. It has allowed us now to be recognized and offered the opportunity to participate in this particular package offered by the Texas Department of Transportation Aviation Division. This is a federally assisted airport development grant. It is a capital improvement program for general aviation airport development. It allows us, or airports such as ours, to take advantage and provide for anticipated needs. What's great about this particular program I like the most is the 90-10. So what that means is we participate, our funding is 10% of the participation, and TxDOT's participation is 90%. Now, we step back. In order to even be considered for this, we have to have a master plan, which we do. And so these are the things that have actually put us in the position to be considered, this particular town and the size of our airport, to be considered for participation to begin with. The town of Pecos City, one of the other areas that is required is the town of Pecos City has to allocate a funding, which we currently have. We've allocated $600,000 towards our airport fund in order to take advantage of this program. At $3,990,950 at 10% is well below the $600,000 that we have set aside to allocate funding to take advantage of this program. The other exciting part is that TxDOT takes full control of the construction of this project. They are on site full-time during the entire construction project at our facility. No air traffic or current functions are interrupted whatsoever. This inspector is actually part of TxDOT and is managed through TxDOT. I was basically told by the TxDOT aviation division was, Holly, you don't have to do anything. I said, process the paperwork. I said, okay, paperwork, just our 10%. When is that due? It's actually not due until the construction project is complete and the funding is then requested. We will send in what is actually necessary to send in. Other than that, we are in a great position and great opportunity to be able to take advantage of this program. It also is going to be in line with our terminal reconstruction as well. That's still on the contract table. The TxDOT still has not finalized that, so hopefully we'll be bringing that next year. As far as the timeline of when this is supposed to begin, it's actually, they're supposed to be mobilizing after the first of the year. I do not have a set date. There are 3 phases, but again, it's a construction project, so as far as verifying the actual end time, when it should be completed, I cannot give you that information yet either, but I will happily give you updates and let you know where we're at when the time comes. I've given you an exhibit, I've left an exhibit on your table. It's basically just showing you what taxiways that are under construction, or going to be under reconstruction, along with the apron. Did you have any questions?
Great news.
It's wonderful. It is. One last thing I forgot to add. So I was looking at the maintenance program on this, and so I understand that there is a pretty specific maintenance program as far as what is necessary, what the expectation is as far as maintenance, maintaining the work after it's done. And so what they require is an inspection of the runways 1 year after the installation, and they do also allocate or allow for drive-bys to verify if there's any type of damage that needs to be addressed by them. It's feasible for us to manage, feasible for the gentlemen who are managing our airport right now, doing a great job, and they're already looking everywhere around that airport for any debris that would cause any kind of hazard. So I don't anticipate a maintenance program being an issue for our airport at all. I just wanted to add that.
Okay, need a motion to approve?
I'll make the motion to accept resolution 20-12-05R, accepting bid for construction of airport taxiway and apron reconstruction, as presented by Ms. Holly.
Okay, second? Okay, a motion by Councilman Mendez, second by Councilman Arona to approve resolution 2012-05R, accepting and approval airport bid as presented. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
Thank you very much.
One more question.
Yes, sir.
Are you expecting to have a holly jolly Christmas? I'm sorry.
Absolutely.
I couldn't get away with that one. I couldn't let you go.
Actually, you should sing a song.
Yeah, we wanted to have nine discuss consider resolution 20-12-06R, purchase used 2004 Peterbilt garbage truck from J&R Equipment of Oklahoma City. Mr. Donnie?
Mayor, Council, Donnie McKinney, Director of Environmental Services. Thank you once again for letting me present this. As I'm sure all of you have had calls about our trash service. And the reason for that is our trucks have been kind of sporadic. They've been breaking down a lot. This truck that I'm asking to purchase is actually here in Pecos now, and we're picking up trash with it. We've rented it right now, and they gave us the option to buy it. And because of all the trouble we've had with trucks, that's why I'm asking that we buy this truck as a backup, so that we make sure we don't have those phone calls like we've been having over the past few weeks. The last week and a half, you shouldn't have had very many, because that's how long we've had the truck. And so, but the truck is a 2004, so it's 16 years old. It's got 60,000 miles on it. You should have some stuff in your package on mileage. And but as I said, we've had it for a week and a half, and it's been in the alleys ever since the day they unloaded it off the truck, because I couldn't let it sit around any. So it's been out there running and doing a great job. So
How many trucks are running right now?
we have 3 running right now. Hopefully next week we'll have 4, because I've got one coming back from Midland. So, but The rental on it, $7,500 a month. The price to buy it, $65,000. So in the long run, I think we save some money if we just go ahead and buy it.
Any questions? Need a motion?
May I make a motion to approve resolution 20-12-06R purchase used 2004 Peterbilt garbage truck from J&R Equipment of Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, presented by Don McKinney, Environmental Service Director.
Second? Motion by Councilman Ora, second by Councilman Perez to approve resolution 20-12-06R, the purchase of 2004 Peterbilt garbage truck as presented. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you, Don.
Does it come with any warranty? I'm just curious.
No,
I
no.
don't think so, yeah.
No.
As is. Yeah.
As is, but as I said, we put it off the truck, the mechanics looked it all over, they gave me a clean bill of health on it, and as soon as they said it's good to go, it's been on the road since.
That's
So,
good. That's good.
Okay, we're going to F10, discuss consider resolution 20-12-07R, purchase of trash haul trailers for transfer station use. Mr. Donnie?
Mayor, Council, again, Donnie McKinney, Director of Environmental Services. As you all know, we just built a new transfer station out at our landfill to kind of alleviate some of the volume we have going into the landfill. So we'll actually bring the trash to the transfer station, and if approved, we'll put it in these trailers and have it hauled to Odessa. That way it's not going in our landfill and filling it up even faster than it is right now. Plus, we're limited to 20 tons a day. So anything over that we can't take, or now with this we can haul it to Odessa. So this is paid for through the transfer station. This was some money left over after we built the transfer station that you've already approved, but I wanted to bring it to you and give you an opportunity to know that we are going to proceed with buying those trailers if it be your will. So I only presented you the one. I have some other bids, but they were for aluminum trailers. You can haul a little bit more weight with the aluminum trailers, but they're not going to be as durable. I'm asking for steel trailers that we're not going to be able to beat up as easily. So. As easy.
No, Donnie, will we have to hire extra staff running back and forth? Or?
Our plan right now is to hire a trucking company to hook up to our trailers with their tractors and pull it over there for us. We haven't finalized that contract, but that is our plan, is to hire a trucking company with drivers and tractors.
Okay, motion?
I'll make a motion, we approve resolution 20-12-07R, purchase of trash haul trailers for transfer station use, as presented by Donnie McKinney, Environmental Service Director.
Okay, second?
Second. Go ahead.
Okay, a motion by Councilman Tanya, second by Councilman Tellez to approve resolution 20-12-07R, purchase of trash hauler trailers for transfer station use. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Mayor, Council, thank you.
Thank you, Don. F11, discuss consider resolution 20-12-08R, approve entering the contract for execute new timekeeping system. Ms. Ivy?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm Kristen Iron, Deputy City Manager. I am putting before you a purchase authorization for the Tyler ExecuTime timekeeping system. We have a timekeeping system now, but it's at the point almost obsolete and outdated, and it's causing more problems and efficiencies and issues with productivity. So our new system would actually integrate seamlessly with our new encode upgrade, so it will actually save us money in the long run. The initial outlay is $38,443. That includes the software, new time clocks everywhere but City Hall, because we're eliminating them at City Hall. We're going to go with a cloud-based keyboard login, and the licensing fee is $10,913 annually after that. It's in line with what we're really paying now. The only difference is we have a little bit more upfront costs to replace some equipment and the implementation. So, any questions?
Will this cover all departments?
This is everybody. This is everybody who's on payroll. And we will include alternative judges in this new process when we get it, as far as them being able to clock in as well.
Also, updates that we would get obsolete.
Everything, because one of the beautiful things about this system is because it will integrate seamlessly with our new implementation of Encode, we can get more reporting and data much easier. And right now, the system we have is not being supported. The hardware we have is dying. It's 5, 6, 7 years old, depending. So in addition to having time clocks in the other locations other than City Hall, if there is an issue with hardware in the future, we are set up for cloud. So that means that we can have people log in at a designated laptop, at a PC, on their phone. So if there's a problem, because we've had a lot of problems with our hardware right now, where if it goes down, we're all scrambling and sending people everywhere and figuring it out. So replacing it with the system, we have the hardware and the software, and it's all cloud-based, so IT is very happy about that. They don't have to do anything with that other than get the initial implementation.
He's shaking his head over it.
Yeah, that's what we want. It will no longer be his problem. He's very happy about that. We've had lots of conversations.
Much of my problem.
Less of your problem. Very much true. We'll still call you.
We have the money?
Yes, we do. I verified that with our finance director, Mr. Charles Lino.
Motion?
Mayor, make a motion we approve resolution 20-12-08R, approving entering into contract with the executive time, new timekeeping system for Reverend Christy Ivy, Deputy City Manager.
Second?
I'll second.
Okay, motion by Councilman Ona, second by Councilman Saldana. Approve resolution 20-12-08R, approving entering contract for executive time, new timekeeping system. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, we're going to F12, discuss consider resolution 20-12-09R, approving intercontract with Alert Media for citywide notification program and emergency response. Ms. Ivy.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mayor. Mayor and Council, Kristen Ari, Deputy City Manager. We have had in the past a system called Code Red that was a voluntary opt-in system for people to sign up to get text messages. What we've had before didn't have as much capability or efficiency as what we're looking at, and the new system is by Alert Media. It's actually cheaper and it provides a lot more. We have the option of including up to 200 employees and then separately having an opt-in voluntary system for residents. So this would be for emergency notification. They could sign up for different types of notification. They want to know when water's out. They want to know if there's an emergency or if there's a traffic problem or whatever it is. We have the option to set it up that way. This system is much more robust because we can set it up for administration remotely. So if there's something going on and we can't get to City Hall, we can let the employees know, we can let the residents know. So it's a much better system than what we were using. It allows for more administrative capability, and it's up to 500 residents, but we can always expand that. I believe we were under that on our last system anyway, but this has a lot more opportunity for us to grow. And again, it's cheaper than what we were using before with Code Red. Any questions?
The cost?
I'm sorry, it is for the first year, it's $4,902 is the annual cost for it, and that is up to 200 employees and up to 500 residents who opt in. We can add more at any point in time. Code Red was at least twice that for a while. And again, it's cloud-based, so there's nothing for us to host or maintain here. Their customer service has been very responsive. We don't have any of the issues we had with the previous provider. So, and that includes a discount for signing up for annual. So,
is there a cost to the residents?
No, not at all. Not at all. They voluntarily sign up for it on the website. There's an app they can download. They can sign up on their phones, on their computer. And once they opt in, they just indicate, yes, I want this type of announcement, I want this type of announcement. It doesn't cost them anything other than what their phone carrier might charge them.
So what website?
Message and data rates may apply.
There you go.
So, yeah, exactly. I've seen enough of them.
Yeah.
But as far as signing up for the service, we don't charge anything. The company doesn't charge anything. to the end user, the city takes that cost.
To sign up at the website, that's the city website?
No, it's an external website.
Uh-huh.
It's an external app, but they just have to indicate that they want to sign up for a town of Pecos City.
Okay.
We can set it up where there's a link on our website. Just click right here, takes you right to the registration. So it's the ease of use for the end user is really good.
Okay.
Motion to approve?
And I did verify with our finance director, we have business.
Make a motion, we approve resolution 20-12-09R, approving entering into contract with Alert Media for citywide notification program and emergency response, as presented by Mr. Kristen Ira, Deputy City Manager.
Second?
No motion by Councilman Saldana, second by Councilman Corona to approve resolution 20-12-9R. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you. We're going to F14. Discuss, consider resolution 20-12-11R, authorizing city manager to enter into interlocal agreement with Reeves County for lobbyists, appropriate funds for lobbyist firm Black Ridge, and setting the legislative agenda for lobbyists for 2021. I'm sorry, we crossed out 13.
Yes,
They didn't.
on item F13, just to address that, the buyer that was going to purchase it from the PEDC backed out at the last minute, decided that they didn't want to pursue it, so Ken, Mr. Winkles asked that we go ahead and move from the agenda. Mayor and Council, as you may recall, 2 years ago we retained the services of Black Ridge to be the lobbyist for all 4 entities. Between all 4 of us, we each shipped in $50,000 for a total of $200,000. As a result, we got the legislation passed for our municipal management district, and the county received $21 million from TxDOT as a pretty good return on investment. This year, nobody knows really what to expect. Sorry. Bills are already being filed in Austin. We expect to some level for it to be very similar to what we saw 2 years ago with a full-out assault on local government. As you may recall, Senate Bill 2 regarding property taxes, the ability to annex was from 2 years ago. Several things, including our ability to determine what our community should look like with building materials, was taken away from us, and we expect more of the same. While there are those that may argue that we should not be using tax dollars for lobbying efforts, I can go on a whole talk about how some elected officials are wheeled and wined and dined. And so the irony abounds. But suffice it to say, I find it to be in the interest of our local citizens to be able to determine their own destiny rather than to have it determined by people in Austin. That's one of the great things about Texas, is that we are independent, and we hold that near and dear in our hearts. And so I do strongly recommend that we do enter into this agreement if for no other reason than to continue to have a voice in Austin. The hospital and the school district have both opted out this year. They both feel like they have their own lobbyists that look into their specific sector. But the county has really been pushing this. Judge Hung has addressed it several times in the joint entity meetings. I feel that it is still very important that we get out there, that we continue to push for funding. We stay on TxDOT's radar. We stay on all of our senators' radar, that the Delaware Basin is the next 50 years of Texas. And so we need to be treated as such, which means that we need to have a professional face. We did have $50,000 set aside in our budget. I am requesting an additional $50,000 to make up for those that are opted out.
In speaking with Judge Hung, he said that they can go up to 100,000, but really once it gets over that, it starts becoming economical for them as well. And so we meet in the middle. We both come up with 100,000, and hopefully we're able to retain a lobbyist. So passage of this resolution would mean that we have authorization to enter into an interlocal with Reeves County. It authorizes the additional funds, appropriates the entirety, and also sets our legislative agenda. And I apologize that that agenda was not presented to you earlier, but it is basically just saying we are going to push back against any encroachment on local control, regardless of what it has to do with, whether it's transportation, water, annexation, taxation, that we need to be able to control our own destiny. We need to also have a voice on the effect that SB2 is having on us. We'll talk at the end of the meeting tonight about the need to take on some road bonds, and I'll say it now and then say it again later. They've almost put us in a corner where we have to take on debt in order to operate. With the new formula for property taxation, if we don't have debt, we continue to go down, and you can't get it back without voter referendum, which, you know, is a victory from the aspect of voters, but just putting it on the ballot is a $30,000 initiative. Mm-hmm. And so is it really saving anybody time or money? From a city management and budgetary standpoint, it is really going to put us in a corner. And so we really need to have a voice there to be able to express that this property tax, which was aimed at large metropolitan areas, is having an exponentially negative impact on small cities like Pecos. So that's the legislative agenda in a nutshell, is that we believe in being a home rule city.
And that's something that we need to really educate our citizens, you know, and the reasons why we want. You know, because like you said, some people say, well, why are we using taxpayers' monies to have lobbyists for us? But that's the reason why, because they're there. It's more beneficial than us having to go over there constantly, be there knocking the doors. But we need to educate the citizens of Pecos the reasons why, and these are the adverse effects that it's having. Because like you said, a lot of these bills were passed for bigger cities, larger cities that can afford that, you know, that large revenue.
I'm not sure that they can afford it either, but they were the target for sure. We just got swept up.
Yeah, along with them.
Along with them.
Yes, and I like the idea of us controlling our destiny here, not somebody from Austin.
Yeah. And you're right. Wally Moon used to say it. This area gives a lot of money to the state, and what do we get in return? Yeah. You know, we're the forgotten ones. It goes to other areas, and so we need to have a fight and a say-so there.
And having somebody that could tell the legislature to try to keep in West Texas some of the tax money that's generated here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
And that's the idea. I mean, you know, we need to keep what we generate here. Mm-hmm. We're trying to build our own community, but we're building somebody else's. Mm-hmm. Because of the way they write their laws and stuff. So yeah, whatever we can keep here and having a lobbyist, you know, you don't have time to be running over there every time that they come out, and you don't have that. I don't know if you have that expertise to be sitting down with this guy.
I don't.
And this is what they do. Yeah. And I believe it's money well spent when we can have a voice over there. When we don't, I mean, you know, we sit here, they can call us or call you and tell you, hey, this is fixing to happen. You know what you gotta do, because this is our stand.
So usually the call comes after it happens. By the way, you gotta put up with it.
As you may recall from 2 years ago, Blackridge puts together a tracking packet, and they send out updates to let us know what bills are coming out, how they're gonna affect us, you know, if we need to respond. And I can only imagine that this year is going to be even more chaotic, because access is probably going to be limited. I don't think that they're going to let cities just show up in mass due to the COVID restrictions, and so it's going to be a very interesting year.
Yeah, and then that's a whole year. It's been crazy, 2020. So we can just imagine what's coming down the pipe.
Yeah,
and then the way people are thinking right now, but yeah.
Okay, so we need a motion.
Mayor, I make a motion to approve resolution 20-12-11, authorize the city manager to enter into interlocal government agreement with Reeves County for lobbyists appropriate funds with an additional $50,000 to, is that what you want to hear? Is that it?
Yes, thank
For a
you.
total amount of $100,000, for lobbyists from Black Ridge, and setting this legislative agenda for lobbyists for 2021. Turning by our city manager, said sorts.
Second?
I'll second.
Yeah, motion by Councilman Rolla, second by Councilman Saldana to approve resolution 20-12-11R as presented. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, we'll go on to F15, discuss consider resolution 2012-13R, enter into utility reimbursement agreement with Pecos Farms and upsizing participation. Mr. Johnson?
Mayor and Council, as you may recall from just a few meetings ago, we had a similar agreement with High Hook. Pecos Farms has been waiting for High Hook because they've already built their line, and so all they needed to do was that last 20 feet of pipe. They've been waiting to do this. They did also upsize their line as part of this, and so this has several parts to it. One part is simply accepting the water line and the easements from Pecos Farms. The second part is entering into a utility reimbursement agreement similar to what we've done basically for everything, going up 1216 across High Hook and then back up 285 again. All three of those projects have been under the URA. And the utility reimbursement agreement just basically means that as new customers come onto the line, they get their tap, they actually pay for their portion of that line. The city would collect that money and then redistribute it to, we would take our portion, so we would recoup our participation, and then we'd also cut a check proportionally to the Pecos Farms.
But you have a formula for that.
We do have a formula for that. And the third part of this is the actual participation. And this participation is just the cost of the upsize. The total project amount was closer to $900,000, which Pecos Farms spent. Our portion to go from an 8-inch to a 12-inch is $84,898. This would come out of utility reserves. We do have the funds, as I was very grateful to see in our audit. And this is actually this has been a very effective program for the city because it's allowed us to expand our customer base, expand our system without the city fronting all of that money. And so it is very effective, and Mr. Smiley's been very good to work with. He's been patient as we've been trying to work out the other issues for connection. And it is my recommendation that we go ahead with those three items.
Your motion?
I'll make the motion, Mayor, to accept resolution number 20-12-12R, entering into a utility reimbursement agreement with Pecos Farms and upsizing participation, as presented by Seth Sorensen, our city manager.
Any second?
Second.
Okay, I have a motion by Councilman Tellez, second by Councilman Orona, to approve resolution 20-12-12R, enter into a utility reimbursement agreement with Pecos Farms. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, we're going to F16, discuss consider resolution 20-12-13R, entering into an agreement for revolving residential loan fund, RRLF, with Christine Ivy. Mr. Johnson?
Mayor and Council, we did put Miss Ivy's name on here for full disclosure that she is a city employee. We realize that it seems like only those that have been associated with the city have taken advantage of this program. We hope to remedy that by getting the word out. But it has been successful. If approved, this will be the fourth loan, which will result in housing number 49 through 53. As you may recall, the Robbie Mehta is completing the last of his 40 homes. He took advantage of this,
Mr. Pond is just about finished with his and about ready to start renting them out. And Mr. Jonathan Fuentes is working on his property. They have secured the property where they are intending to build. And so this program is successful. We've had one completely paid back, and so we do have the funds for this request. And this request itself is for $375,000, and it would create 5 new housing units. Basically, my understanding is we're taking a single-family home and turning it into rentable apartments, which is allowed by our zoning to turn it into a 4-plex, and then an on-site manager suite as part of this. Very similar to previous requests, it would be a 3-year loan at a very low interest rate of around 1%. The intent of this is not to make money. The intent is to help people create housing in Pecos because we need it so desperately. The company itself would actually be LGM Pecos LLC is who would be receiving the loan, which is owned by Ms. Kristen Irie.
And just to let the people know that this is for anybody.
It is for anybody, and we've actually asked, especially in our downtown, we've actually kind of pushed the idea to try to get some of the downtown lofts rebuilt. So far, we haven't found anyone willing to take it on, even though it's 1% loan. That's pretty hard to beat. But yes, it is available for anyone, and even after this, we should have, I believe, around $200,000 left in this fund. So if there's another project out in the community, we would love to hear about it.
And this is for 3 years? Allowing for 3 years at 1%?
Yes.
Need a motion?
Now I make a motion we approve resolution 20-12-13R, entering an agreement for a revolving residential loan fund with Christy Irie. It's presented by our city manager, Seth Sorensen.
In a second. A motion by Councilman Arroyo, second by Councilman Saldana, to approve resolution 20-12-13R. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
And again, people, it's available. I wish somebody more people would be interested, like what Ron did downtown, revitalize it.
Yeah.
It'd be nice to have buildings are there, they just gotta remodify them.
Yep. And it fits perfectly into our downtown overlay. So, yeah, we would love to have more people in the downtown, but anywhere in town for that matter.
Let me ask you a question. Who rehabbed that building behind yours?
Behind mine, it was a man from Lubbock that bought that building, I think, at a tax sale, and basically tore down everything there except one partial wall, and rebuilt it out of steel. And
it's nice.
It's nice, but it used to have historic like blocks, like old handmade blocks and stonework and all that's gone. But anyway, he did a nice job of it. But it was very expensive. Remodeled because it was basically building a new building out there.
From the ground up.
But that's what's gonna make downtown look nice when they start doing buildings like that. And that's what we need to.
He has 2 apartments, I think, upstairs that are pretty small, and I'll have 3 that are pretty big.
It'll be over the jewelry store yourself?
Yes, sir.
Yes, that's what I thought.
We're almost done.
Somebody did something with this one just right across the alley, the upstairs section. You see all these brand new window units.
And you see some of those mini splits that they stuck on the wall.
Yes. They were not, went in there many years ago, when I first came back to Pecos. They were pretty nice.
And they completely got it in place and rebuilt all the rooms. It's gonna be nice.
Yes.
What are
They
they,
did not take
apartments?
packages along the line.
No, I don't know who. It's somebody local?
First name's Socorro, I can't think of her last name right now. She owns the FR underneath it.
Oh, okay.
Well, that's and that's the idea that have the buildings and do something with the buildings downtown. That makes downtown look good.
Exactly.
Okay, let's go on to F17, discuss consider ordinance 20-12-01, adopting the 2020 comprehensive plan, first reading. Mr. Fulton.
Mayor and Council, I know you've heard of this several times now, but it hopefully is time to actually adopt it. The comprehensive plan, we were able to rewrite several chapters through the benefit of a grant, which we got quite a bit for our money. GrantWorks did an excellent job rewriting this. We had the initial community meetings before COVID hit back in February, end of January. We were able to get some feedback even though we didn't have a big turnout. Because of that, we just recently had 3 community meetings to get some more input, feedback, and to present it to the citizens. Some of you were able to make it. Thank you for your attendance. We did not find a whole lot of comments other than they were excited that the city is taking a proactive approach. With that grant, again, it was only around $54,000. We were not able to rewrite the entire comprehensive plan, but it did touch on some of the most important ones. Some of them were required by the grant, including our land study, our population estimates. We had to look at our water and sewer, our streets, our thoroughfares, our economic development, and if you've read that chapter, we probably got our money's worth just out of that one. They gave lots of excellent examples and references for us. My recommendation is that we go ahead and adopt this, but because it's not a complete comprehensive plan, that we actually marry it with the 2015 plan. And in case that there's any conflicting information, basically the newest information would govern in how we proceed. That way we at least have some guidance. It was not that long ago, it was only in 2017 that we actually adopted the 2015 plan. And we're just now starting to get into motion with some of the recommendations there. But it is my recommendation that we go ahead and adopt it. We have had citizen feedback. I do feel like it's a very well-written plan, especially with regards to some of our infrastructure and our economic development.
Yeah, I like some of the info that came through, the one that I attended. I wanted to go all 3 of them, but things came up. But you know, the folks that showed up and they were interested in it, and I was glad to see business owners involved in this, and you know what they were thinking about, and how they perceive what the plan is going to do for Pecos. So I was excited to see that.
Need a motion to approve, please?
I'll make the motion that we approve ordinance 20-12-01, adopting the 2020 comprehensive plan, first reading as presented by City Manager Mr. Saxon.
Second. Okay, a motion by Councilman Rosado, second by Councilman Rona, to approve ordinance 20-12-01, adopting the 2020 comprehensive plan, first reading. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, we'll go on to F18, discuss consider ordinance 20-12-02, creating a private use of public spaces, hubs, policy, first reading. Mr. Closen?
Mayor and Council, thank you. This is another ordinance that I am recommending that is born out of the downtown theater rehab. As you may recall, that's how our tree ordinance was born, because we had some trees that got cut down without permission. They were some of the most mature trees we had in town, so it was a loss. But we do want our downtown to be a vibrant place. We want it to be a place where businesses can be. We want it to be the latest catchphrase is placemaking. We want it to be a destination. We want to be a place where people want to come and have all kinds of different events. And we've done really well, especially the Chamber has done some excellent events. Oscar and his volunteers did a great trunk or treating this year in the downtown. We're here in the downtown because we made the conscious decision that we wanted to maintain that destination for our citizens. So with all that being said, the purpose behind this private use of public spaces is to hopefully encourage some of that. So one example of someone who might take advantage of this ordinance is a downtown business such as FR Clothing, that maybe they want to do a sidewalk sale. They can come in, they can pull a permit, they can be out on the sidewalk and actually encourage people to come in and get some foot traffic generated. Similarly, if any of the restaurants in the downtown wanted to have an outdoor cafe, either part of the time or full time, this would allow that. As long as they're providing the ADA 60 inches width to get by, they'd be able to do that. Basically, to sum it up, you're not allowed to use public right-of-way for commercial purposes without there being some benefit to the city. And so this allows for that through a simple application process. They would simply come in, submit it to the city secretary. It would get approved. If not approved, they have the right to appeal to me. If they don't get a satisfactory answer through me, they are able to come and appeal to the city council as well. I don't anticipate it being very controversial. Where I've seen this implemented in the past, it was actually quite successful, and businesses were more than happy to comply because it meant more business for them. So with that being said, to sum it up, this is just one more tool as we're trying to govern the use of our public right-of-way, but also to make sure that everyone's needs are being met and to help the businesses in the downtown accomplish what they need.
In some cities, and you see it all over the television, that they little pubs or restaurants have outside dining. Is this what
this would allow that? That's right.
I love that. Where you can sit outside and just watch people walk by and all that, enjoying your dinner or whatever, your drink, and that's what I would love to see downtown Pecos. This is a historical town, and as like that one building, Poundwall building that you remodeled, that looks great. The building across the street used to be Great Western Finance, Z-Tex, I think that's their offices. That looks nice. The other building next door, if they ever finish that, it becomes a patio, a bar and grill that they're talking about. But this is what's going to help us.
I'm giving that Farmville neon sign to the museum.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
They like that.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what it would allow for. Pop-up parks, pop-up benches, somewhere if they wanted to take a few parking spaces. Those are the kind of things that this would allow.
Maybe we'll come to the day where we'll have to build a parking garage just to park everything, so that that the street can be where people are walking without no through traffic. Yeah. Just like they did on Trunk or Treat, everything was set up, great, and people walking around, no issue. I mean, 3rd Street, well, that's kind of hard, so that's a main artery, but everything else in here, the museum sitting there, everything.
Okay, get a motion to approve.
I make a motion to approve ordinance 20-12-2,
Creating private use of public space, otherwise known as policy. First reading is presented by Seth Source, City Manager.
Second.
I'll second that.
Okay, a motion by Councilman Arnold, second by Councilman Ted, to approve ordinance 20-12-02, creating the public use of public spaces. First reading. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. On to F19. Discuss both bond projects. Mr. Swanson.
Mayor and Council, this is just a quick presentation, and I know coming from me that doesn't sound possible. This is not intended to get into the weeds of everything that needs to be done to make this happen. This is simply to present what I feel is necessary to move the city forward with some of its expansion. We've done really well with our water and our sewer, but our roads are still kind of lagging behind. TxDOT redoing 285 through town was a big win for us. When we get the loop built, that will be a big win. But we have a lot of areas in town that either
currently don't have access and therefore don't have development, and we have areas that simply just need to be redone, like Lincoln Street. As you know, we have some money set aside for Lincoln Street. We're going to work on the entranceway and the stoplight, which is just been accepted by the council. But the remainder of that road is going to be another $10 million to rebuild it to a more urban standard with lighting, sidewalk, landscaping. And I feel that that's a very worthwhile investment, because that is a main corridor with all the development that's going on there, with our new United, our 2 new hotels, our new Burger King. Hopefully we'll have a coffee shop at some point located there. It's starting to develop, and anyone who's driven by there knows that there's quite a few more acres that could be developed if we can make it more attractive. Being right across the street from the rodeo arena, just one more thing of how it makes our town more inviting. And I said I want to get into the weeds, so I better keep moving. So why do we take on bonds? Bonds are long-term debt. You all know that. Right now, terms are pretty low. They're pretty reasonable, and so it's still more expensive to borrow money than anything else because they charge a higher interest rate than what we can earn at the bank. But the time cost of money allows us to actually make it cheaper for our citizens, and the reason for that is because as inflation occurs over the next 20 or 30 years, which is a typical bond time, you actually have more buying power because you bought it now versus then, versus in the future. It also extends our buying power because obviously we don't have enough cash to pay for everything that we need to do. We never will. As I mentioned earlier tonight, with SB2 from 2 years ago, we have to carry debt. If we don't carry debt, we lose that off of our M&R, and it just gradually decreases us until we get in a corner where we can't increase it without a major vote. And so part of what I would be suggesting by this is that we actually go ahead and put this as a referendum to the public for this coming spring. Go ahead and put it to the vote now rather than get to the point where all of our city services are suffering later on and then have to put it to a vote. One of the things that I will say, hopefully without throwing too many stones, is that bonds should meet the life of the asset. The city in some years past took on a $10 million bond to do chip seal. Chip seal lasts 3 to 5 years. We're going to be paying on that for another 15 years from now. That's not an effective use of a bond. That should have been cash flowed, in my opinion. Hindsight's 20/20. We hope not to repeat that mistake. But really, a bond should match the asset, should match the term of the loan, if not longer. So some typical bond projects that we would be discussing would be new roadways, reconstruction of some of our roadways, and beautification. This is something that is on our strategic map, is to beautify the city, make it more attractive, using xeriscaping, using native desert plants, taking what's great about Pecos and just putting more of it out there. Again, this is not an all-inclusive list by any means, and the map is probably a little too small to see. But what we're looking at are really the blue lines, the baby blue lines, and kind of the pink lines. And so on the east side of town, you see that we have a great need for a lot of curb and gutter widening. There are no sidewalks on the east side of town. And so that is one area that we would focus on. You'll see the baby blue on the far right there. We have a need for a reliever route for all the trucks that currently come back into 285 right down 13. And anyone who's had a conflict with the turning movement there knows that's not the best place for trucks to be coming out. And so reliever routes, improving some of our circulation where our bike routes that we're currently working on. We're going to do that, as we've talked previously, kind of the cheap and easy way first to get people accustomed to using those bike routes, but eventually most of those roads need to be improved. It's not much fun to ride on a bike on a real bumpy road. We've got several other projects. Again, I won't go through this whole list, but if the council is amenable to having this discussion we'll need to go through this list, because we'll actually need to come up with what that true scope is going to be, what the true cost of what we would be asking the voters for would be, and to be able to show them what they get in return for their investment. But a lot of this map has to do with improving current roadways, extending. Probably one of the biggest two that would be extensions of new roadways would be Oak Street heading south. That would open up over 100 acres easily of developable land right there. And it's right in the core, right next to where we're currently seeing development, both commercial and the PEDC housing. It goes right down the middle of that. The other being an alternative truck route for F Street. Even though we patrol that, even though it is super narrow, and even though we have signs all over the place saying no trucks, we get trucks down there all the time. And so until the loop is built, and probably even after that, we're going to continue to have trucks. We're going to continue to need to find a solution to how to get them away from residential areas, get them where they need to go. And again, without having money associated with this, I don't know that we can accomplish all these within a reasonable bond amount. Money never goes as far as you think it's going to or hope it's going to. But we do have a substantial list of needs for transportation. So how would we pay for it if we did take on a bond? We have a dedicated maintenance sales tax. Now, in the current year, as you remember, we had to kind of switch things around. We put a lot of our employees under that dedicated so that we could reduce the number of layoffs. They're doing maintenance, and so it's an appropriate use of those funds. But in an ideal year where we actually are generating more revenue, that money would be going directly into the streets. The only caveat to that by the state law is that it has to be used for existing streets, which is fine because we have plenty of needs in our existing streets as well. Any new roads that are extensions, such as Oak, would have to be paid out of the general fund. Now, when we adopted the current year budget, the council also approved franchise fees from our water and sewer utilities and our trash, which is great. Again, in current year, we're using that to help cover the cost of employees, to reduce the number of layoffs, and to continue to provide the level of service that we need. But in an ideal year, that franchise fee is intended to offset the damage done to our roads. So it makes sense to turn that around and use it to fix our roads. So for your consideration, again, I can't stress this enough. Under the new law passed in 2019, we're almost in a situation where we have to take on debt, large or small, just to continue to have it at the top of the equation. And what I'm requesting of you is to consider, not to vote tonight, but just to start thinking about whether or not this is worthy to place on the May ballot. Any questions for me?
But it is something no other way around it.
Put the bond out there. No, and then we hear a lot about where I've been talking about when are we going to fix the streets?
Yep.
When are you going to put gutters? Wait. Here's the opportunity.
Especially to the east side, and F Street, those areas.
That's true.
Yes.
They'll encourage people hopefully to vote for it.
And that's something that when we decide to put it in the main ballot, we need to advertise it like crazy.
Yes.
What the benefits of it and all that, so that educate.
Make sure there's something in it for everybody.
Well, yeah, and what you're showing, and especially that map and your ideas, it's exactly what you're saying. It's
Well,
for everybody.
If done successfully, there's more needs than there is money. And so if done successfully, if we can successfully pass a ballot measure, get the support, do these projects well, show that we're using the money well, that just bolsters the confidence of the public, and they're more likely to support a future bond issue for additional projects that need to be done as well.
Educate.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll go ahead and go into executive session under Texas Government Code 551-071, 551-072, 551-074, 551-087. Time is 7:36 p.m. 57, is there anything to come before the board during closed session? No?
Well, just that everybody have a Merry Christmas
And be safe.
and be safe.
Okay.
My Thanksgiving was like good Christmas. We stayed.
Anything to discuss, for next city council meeting? Motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn the city council meeting?
Second. A motion by Councilman Morales, second by Councilman Tellez, to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
We're done.
Good job.
Good job.
Good job.
Considering, I don't think that's